Hey guys, welcome back. We're always asked from people, how's being a life coach? What does that career look like? What is the working day of a life coach? So as part of this series, I'm interviewing a couple of my coaches, master coaches, reaching out to them more in a way of, hey, not like just after they finish the training, because after training, everybody's like super motivated, pumped, and they're going to like create a life of their dreams. But I'm more interested in reaching out to my guys who have done my training like 2, 5, 10 years ago and checking what's life like for them now. So today I have an incredible guy to introduce you to. He has a story to share. In fact, he's a practicing master coach. He runs his business, Master Your Mind. And I really wanted him to share his story and so you can hear it from him. Sam, welcome to the call. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Robert. Thank you for having me, man. Thanks.
Man, tell me, where are you right now? I'm assuming Dubai, but just where are you right
Yeah,
now?
I'm based out in Dubai now. Based in Dubai, yeah. Dubai Marina.
Cool. Awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
So as you know, I mean, I invited you for this call and I wanted to give you a platform for you to share your story because so many people are asking those things like, hey, being a life coach, what is that like and things. Now, I know you have an awesome story to tell in terms of your current life. I just prefer if you start with a rather like, who was Sam before all of this? Say 2 years ago? Yeah, you did your training about 2 years ago?
Around 2 years ago. Yeah, correct,
So,
correct.
so, so what was life like before that? Who was Sam back then, or where did Sam come from? If you know what I mean. All I
Yeah.
remember, you're someone who's highly educated, has corporate background. I know that you speak like 5 languages. You know. So tell us a little bit about Sam before 2 years ago, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, sure, Robert. So, yeah, it's like feels ages ago actually. It's because it's a different person from where I was back then. So my background is ad tech, media and advertising, and I was pretty much doing that for 14 years of my life. The last gig I had was running the Middle East and North Africa for a company based in this region. And after all these years, I would just find myself like pretty much most of the people out there following the traditional route to success and trying to tick off all those boxes. So yeah, the travel, the financial well-being, the whole things of what a guy at my age in this sort of part of the world would be doing. But I always felt there was something missing deep from within. Like I felt that I wasn't really fulfilled. And I felt like more and more I was losing myself because I was really stressed out. Like it was a really high stressful job, high paying, but high stress, really a lot of stress that came with it. And I just decided like one of those days to, just to go within myself and ask myself those serious questions like, what is it that I really want to do? Is what's my real passion? And I always love to work with people. Like this is something that I've always had a passion with, working with people and being that center point where people used to come and ask me for advice. But I never really had the tools and the techniques and the knowledge of how I can actually change people's lives effectively and permanently. So after that, I just reached a boiling point, and at the time, I just decided to take a break, resign, and people didn't really understand why I was doing that and what was the reason behind it. I got on a plane, went to Nepal for 2 weeks, sat on the mountain, and I just asked for some real wisdom as like I need to find someone or I need to find something that is going to drive me to take me to the next level. So from then I did some research, Robert, like everyone else would do. I was online looking at different sites, trying to find someone that I felt that really had the knowledge, and I came across you with your videos I can just remember it like yesterday. And I just felt that authenticity. I felt there's something special, and you could see you knew what you were talking about, right? So from then I just reached out and I compared it with others to be very transparent, and I was like, no, this is where I feel that I feel that I need to just expose. And I had a meeting with Karina at the time. She came to me. I told her my story. She says, this is relevant. I feel this is something that, just take that first step, So waited a few months actually, and then I got the spot in to do it over summer. But I came in with that mentality and that mindset. I want to come in, I want to learn, this is me, I'm coming all in. I want to learn how to be a coach and what I can do to change people's lives. But little did I know, I was actually going through my own transformation, and that's what really snapped. And throughout that experience, especially the coach level training, because I did both, as you know, I did masters as well, and that is when I started getting those breakthroughs, those experiences, and those should I say waking up. And that was obviously thanks to you and your great mentoring and teaching, which honestly speaking, I until today, and I've done other courses really, but until today, I've never came across someone that can articulate it and break it down and simplify it like yourself. So that's where my journey started from there onwards. But like I said, I've always been a fan of understanding the tools and techniques that has something to do with the mind. So from then, my journey kicked off, Robert. And as you know, carried on. I started my practice and started to feel what it was like to change people's lives. And ever since then, it's been history, really. Just then after that, fell in love with the work and obviously did the masters, which took it to an even different level of understanding. And yeah, now I'm really basically found that thing that I was missing, which was that purpose, my purpose and my joy, and having that life force energy from within me that drives me every day to be excited to get up, as opposed to getting up and just feeling down on a Sunday. Well, we start work on a Sunday here, but feeling down on a Sunday, going to the office and going, I just can't wait for the weekend. I don't live for the weekend. Every day for me is like a weekend, because I just love what I do, and that's the best blessing I'm really fortunate that I found this line of work, and also working with you and learning from you, Robert. So yeah, I hope this answers the question. Sorry for the long.
Don't want to interrupt you. You're there on the go, and I have those little questions I want to ask you for the sake of the viewers, I guess, who are interested in those details. Yeah. I was going to ask you the details about the training itself or what happened in the room, but I'll come back to that. Let me ask you this, what you just said. You said instead of being, tired on, I think in the rest of the world, we have this whole thing, Friday, people love when it's Friday because that means they have a weekend off. And I find that when people have those passions and what they do, they're like, Friday, no, like I have more work to do, because we love playing, we love doing what we do so much. So my question to you is aren't you tired of those seeing clients? As in, don't that job or that career calling, doesn't it come with, I don't know, some dark stories or some heaviness? And because you're telling me I'm loving it, you look energized about it. Isn't it?
No,
sometimes
not really.
Seeing other people's problems or whatever. What is this? Give us the insight of coaching. How's your coaching day, or what do you do with your clients? Do you talk about heavy problems, or how does that?
No. You see, that's the thing. That's why I'm loving this type of work, and the tools and the techniques which we've learned doesn't allow us to hear their story. We just go straight to where the pain is. We find the root cause, and from there, just shift those barriers, remove those negative charges, whatever is blocking them, whatever belief systems, whatever is in their way of their potential, their real potential. So it's nice because it's refreshing. I don't need to hear their stories. In fact, hearing their stories doesn't really change anything. It's more of a direct impact, and that's why I have energy. That's why I'm able to see 2-3 clients sometimes a day and still have time for myself to do my things. And that's why I keep going. That's why it's quite a an easy process for me.
Beautiful. Look, I obviously know this because if you're following my coaching methodology, we don't really get so caught up in the content in terms of experiencing all that pain. Like what most empaths get to experience. They feel other people's pain and they get caught up in that story. It's pretty results driven, and that changes, I think, everything, because none of us are really tired after clients. We all energized, clients are energized, and we're loving what we do. It just adds to it. Awesome. Yeah. So that's where that was. And I wanted to ask you about, you said in the training itself, I'm just want you to share whatever your experience was. Tell me when you came into the training room. I don't know in your training how many people were there, but how was the people? How was the group? Could you give us a little transition from Sam, who just walked into this training room with all the strangers, or how, just share your experience?
Yeah, I think day one, everybody was just, trying to, a bit nervous in day one, which I think is normal because they're stepping into something in the unknown. They're out of their comfort zone and it's all new. But I think immediately it was quite nice to see, especially through us doing the work ourselves, how everyone, including myself, because perception is projection, how we were shifting in that perspective, and everyone became like a one family. And in fact, I still am in contact with a lot of the coaches or non-coaches even that were in that group, and we've become really good friends, because everyone takes away that mask and becomes who they really are. And that was quite special to see, both within ourselves and others in the room, Robert. And that was quite nice. And those breakthroughs, like I said, Robert, I came in and I thought I literally thought there's nothing wrong with me. I was, I'm fine. I, came up from a normal upbringing, whatever. And then little did I know, that's all the unconscious, that I cleared, and then I started seeing things differently. I started seeing myself differently, even more in terms of that better version of myself. So it is such a great experience, because literally the what the teachings you give us, which is, we don't know what you don't know, and that's so true and evident in that transformational teachings, because we find ourselves. I found myself after that training, and I saw others and other breakthroughs, which was so inspiring, but also so very much special to see people breaking through and coming out and just being comfortable with their skin in that process. And that was special.
Does any of the stories kind of still ring a bell, or can you remember any of the specific? Obviously, I don't want you to mention any names of those people, obviously, on recordings, but does any of the transformations you're referring to still kind of stand out? Like, what was so big that it would be touching?
Yeah, I mean, there was, it's been a while, Robert. I'm trying to remember, but there was a few. I mean, I saw one that I found quite, that touched me, was a lady, without mentioning names, that did one of the techniques, which is a timeline therapy, which is getting rid of negative emotions of the past. And I saw that person clearing those charges, clearing those emotions of the past, and they had so much emotions built up. And as they were clearing, I was noticing and watching and seeing them shifting, like literally seeing their face change. And I was like, wow, I wonder if everyone else is seeing this in the room. It was so powerful. And when she was done, it's like when she opened her eyes, I remember she looked at all of us and she just stood up with a different form of confidence, and she was like a different person. And that was instantaneously, and that's something that really touched me. But there were so many, Robert, to be open with you, and there were so many, and to recall. But even those small ones, even the ones that were happening on stage or off stage, which I found what were profound, and just seeing different people, different every day, someone coming up with the true self that was bubbling up there, which was quite unique for me to see.
Look, personally, what I probably enjoyed the most is also those moments, because for me, it's one thing sharing some theory. It's one thing talking, teaching people from something you read in some book, if you know what I mean. And I think it's very different from teaching them from experience, because all of my experience really comes from coaching other clients long before I was doing this in this format. So I'm really glad that I managed to take what was happening in my coaching rooms, if you know what I mean, to take it now into this group context, into a training room where you guys came to learn about coaching, and yet my little hidden agenda is to get you guys to become coaches rather than know of coaching. And for me, there's a major difference from learning all of these things and knowing it mentally, and a huge, huge difference whether you manage to embody it instead, if you know what I mean. Embodying it, the way we do that is by you guys being clients throughout the whole process. So you get to experience every single transformative process that you're supposed to learn about and do with other clients, for you to experience it on your own skin. And obviously, if you're a willing client, that changes you from within in terms of your perception, and all sorts of things in life become easier. And I think what's really cool is that you get to, when you work with your clients later on and asking them to go inside and do this and do that, make those changes, you know what you're asking them to do. You know how it feels. You can totally be with them, knowing how that feels, knowing exactly what you're asking them to do, and sorting out your own life things. I think it just unlocks you to be even more free, I guess, to coach others in an even more congruent way, rather than people coming to you with a problem and you go, oh shit, that's a real problem. Even I have that problem, you know. Ideally, we clean up our own stuff so it less intervenes with what it is that we do with clients. I think that's really useful.
100%. It helped me a lot. I believe that before becoming, and that's why this training was something that I found, and obviously I was asking about from people that did the training, and that's the practical that happens. It's not just teaching; it's the practical living. But through the practical practicing it and doing the actual work, and then also transforming yourself, I found myself really rocking up and dealing with my clients. Congruence was there, my confidence was there, because I know my stuff, I've applied it myself, and which makes me a believer in the work even more. You see, for me personally, doing the work, which I had the opportunity to do in the room, was great, because I saw the change in myself, and I was like, okay, I need to go and share this with the world. I need to go and and I've got something now so powerful that I can change people's lives, and that's evident, of course, because it gives you that confidence, if that makes sense.
Beautiful, man. And for me, that's just it, because my heart just smiles when I hear you speak this way. It's just a blessing, really. What I find in those conversations with other coaches, what I find is that often they tend to not forget where they come from, if you know what I mean, but they tend to forget the wowness of it sometimes, because they're so in it. It's every day now. So somebody comes with, I don't know, some major trauma from the past, like an event that crippled them somehow mentally or emotionally, and they just never managed to overcome it. Some major emotional trauma. We're talking about years or decade of therapy in some other circles, right? And yet I believe that for someone like you, that could be, I don't like saying those things actually publicly, but this could be a few minutes intervention to overcome that fully. And obviously there's some other things we still want to do with the client like that. But in terms of overcoming that pain, overcoming that burden, it really is a few minutes of intervention if you understand the neurology and how mind works on the level that we do nowadays. I'm not saying we know everything there is to know, but knowledge that we have today is so incredible. I'm still in that awe of what we have. I'm just curious sometimes to tap you guys to go, hey, did you lose the wow? Did you lose the honest just because it's there every day?
I never lose it, because I mean, like for example, one area which really is for me, I find extra passion, but I find that for some reason I attract certain types of clients that come to me, and one caliber of clients or that I work with, or they tend to come to me, are young men in my age group that are lacking some form of confidence, or have a fear of some form of anxiety or feel of the future, and they've been dealing with this for years, and they're like, I've done everything, I've tried everything, I've literally tried everything, and how's this going to change? And I always have a little giggle inside of me. I'm like, dude, you don't know the work, you don't know the tools I have, and it's always a nice before and after, like when you have a makeover, and I just see what it looks like before. And sometimes I wish I could film it when in the room. If I'm not coaching online, if I have the guys in, sometimes I wish I could see this guy before and show them after, And when we're done with the work, it's a completely different person, and they're in awe. They're literally in awe. They're like, dude, what did you do to me? Like, literally, I get that, and it's so fulfilling, because that's what I'm working for. That's my hey, that's just seeing that face, that person that's been I don't want to say the word, but literally suffering for all these years, trying everything, and then eventually coming to me with the doubt. Robert, a lot of people, they sit in front of you, they still have that doubt, and that's when I love it the most. We're like, okay, well, just keep, all I want is just come in open-minded, and I'll show you the work. I'll show you this powerful work and these powerful transformational tools and techniques and knowledge that I'm happy to share and I'm happy to transform, because it's just them coming back to their true self, becoming happy, and that's what everyone deserves to be at the end of the day.
That's that part that some people think, oh, that only works if you believe in it. And given the tools that we have today, you don't need to believe anything. You just need to be willing. And then to have this awareness that you actually have a problem, raise a hand, ask for help, whatever the terminology is, That's all. Just I want to teach people to become skeptics. Cynical people, we can't really win that argument by the definition of that word. Skeptical people are super welcome. In fact, I wish I could teach everybody to become a skeptic, to stop just going with the herd, like following whatever somebody says. Ask questions, question things. I think it's a great feature to have, rather than people, I'm a skeptic, almost as if it's a bad thing. I think it's an awesome thing to be a skeptic. Sam, you touched a topic that I'm also very passionate about. The whole topic of confidence. Confidence is such a normal everyday word kind of thing. Confidence. It's just like there's no major attachment in terms of emotional things around it. I don't think people understand how big of an issue is one's confidence, or should I say the side effects of having low self-esteem actually does on one's life. Because man, I mean, this. It's kind of funny. I'm talking to you, but I should be talking to other people about this. The idea is that when somebody has low self-esteem or low self-confidence, that affects every single area of their life. The careers they pick, the decisions they make, the partners they approach, the goals they set. It just affects every area of their life, including their health at the end of the day. So being able to, in one session, transform one's self-confidence to help them overcome, without us going technical here, to overcome whatever needed to be overcome, for him to, or her, well, you said mostly guys come to you for this, for him to gain his confidence back and to see life from a different lens. I think it's priceless. I think that change that you've done for that person in that moment, that alone is priceless for him for the rest of his life, really. Just becoming more confident, it changes everything, I believe. So that's priceless. I mean, so many things that we can do now is priceless. That's why I'm querying it like this, because some of us, we tend to forget how deep and how important this is just because it's our everyday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We go like, yeah, okay, come. It's like, it's easy. We forget how deep this stuff is.
I notice also when working with confidence, for example, Robert, and I'm sure you would agree with me. Once I adjust that within any area of their life, it trickles down and impacts other areas of their life that they didn't even know. Like even fear, as an anxiety or fear, like they're worried about. When they have confidence, they're not worried anymore. They step out of their comfort zone and they start to explore and get that job offer that they were afraid of, or just go and just explore different things in their life, and they just start to have a different life experience, just from confidence alone. Never mind the other areas that we cover and we work on, but I mean, just one area trickles down and shifts people's life alone, and I've seen that.
That's another thing. A lot of our clients come to us with one or perhaps two areas of life they want to work in. Usually the areas where they are conscious of, they have some pain in those areas, right? And they're often unaware that they never in their lifetime really consciously fought through other areas of life. And yet we do have all those, we call it like a wheel of life, all the slices of a pie, all those different areas. Each one of them is affecting the whole. It's affecting every other area. But most people are blissfully ignorant of all of them. They never sit down to actually, I don't know, design one perhaps, or to consider what needs to be different, or setting some new standards in any one of those. So that's a huge difference there. Tell me, Sam, you did mention you've done some other trainings, and I choose to believe you perhaps found some useless ones, but I choose to believe that you found some really good ones out there as well. From your life experience, from your trainings, I'm just curious, how would you compare? And I really mean bluntly, honestly, like just raw, okay?
Yeah.
What's the main difference? Help me see, because I have some ideas in my head, but help me see what is the main difference between what it is that I do or teach versus, I don't know, don't say names necessarily in any light you present them, but like, what's the difference between, let's call it this way, what's the difference between life coaching, what that stands for globally, versus what it is that we do, that RCI stands for? How do you see that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, like I've rightfully said, I've done courses before, and I've done courses even after, and I'm always trying to find good things, to self-development. It's a continuous process. But what's very, very evident, and this is why I don't even like the word life coach, to be honest. I don't like to be put in that box, because I am not a life coach. I literally am not a life coach. And because we're so much more, because life coach programs, especially the ones I've seen, even some online that I was tapping into before, even it's like reading off a textbook. I could get the book, and there's no tools, there's no knowledge. I'm not asking for someone to motivate me. I want the tools, I want the techniques that is going to shift. And this is something that I found at RCI training that I haven't found it thereafter or even before, where, here, dude, this is the training, this is the practical, which is always more important than the actual theory. Here's how you do it, here how it's done. This is something I saw which was amazing, because you did it on live in front of us, and you allowed us also to apply it in the room to make sure we're doing it correctly. And also having those tools and techniques that's the goal. That's what makes the change. That's what something I haven't seen anywhere else at all, in fact. And that's why I think this was the unique standing point in being transparent with you.
Thank you. That's kind of how I see it as well. For me, this whole term life coach already exists, as you know, and it has its own definition, should I say, or people's perception of what it is that you get when you go and see a life coach. There's so many life coaching modalities out there that I would imagine 90% of them really are in the bracket of a little bit of empowerment, because we don't want people walking around feeling victimized. And, it's kind of motivational in terms of, it's not about what happened, it's about what you do with it now, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit empowering for sure. And they have different coaching, should I say, I call it good quality questions. They tend to have some good quality questions. They ask the clients, and that tends to bring a little bit of clarity. Once they have empowerment and some clarity, they get to understand a little bit of what they want in life. And then they set some goals, and they hold their clients accountable. And that's really so far removed from what it is that we do. Problem is, nobody's looking for what we do, so we call it life coaching or RSCI coaching in my world. So what people don't, I think this is the thing. I was going to say what people don't understand, but I'm changing that. People understand this. I think what coaches don't understand, or what wannabe coaches don't understand, they think people are looking for a life coach. They know people need change, but they're looking a life coach. So life coach is supposed to give people advice. If that was the case, for you to be a good life coach, you would have to be excellent in all areas of life and have some really awesome advices to give out. That's a tall order, I think, for any one of us, right? So what's really happening behind the scenes, what people don't get, is that people are not looking for motivational speech anymore. People are not looking for even for advice. I mean, they come for advice sometimes, but they don't need the advice. I figured long ago in life that telling people what to do just doesn't work. They know what to do. But often, I mean, it's so easy nowadays with Google. You can just almost find anything for free in terms of what to do, right? But telling people what to do, it doesn't work, because they have all those internal obstacles that are preventing them to apply those steps and actually do them. So I moved away from this whole advice giving business kind of thing, telling people what to do. And I think, as you know, we reach into something far more powerful, which is helping people overcome whatever burdens they have, overcome whatever obstacles, beliefs, programs they adopted through their upbringing that are preventing them to see the world in a certain way, and therefore act accordingly, right? So when we help them overcome those things, they see the world differently, and they access their inner wisdom. They access their own knowings that suddenly become available. Okay, and that's where all the advice comes from. And in fact, that's why we have the word called, the insight. Insight comes from within. I can't give you an insight, Mr. Client, but I can facilitate a session where you, for the lack of better wording, get to experience your mind being calmer than usual, so that all those patterns of thoughts that you're having normally, I can help you create a state of resourcefulness and remove all sorts of ideas about you that are not true necessarily, but actually changing them. So once you experience yourself in this different light, you get to hear this other voice that's also there that under normal circumstances you don't get to hear. But it's all happening from within the client. So them accessing that inner wisdom, we call it, or insight, is something that's so enriching and so freeing, liberating, and empowering for them that I don't know of any other modality that does that, because they get to come up with their own advice, if you know what I mean. In fact, when idea is theirs, you can't even take it away from them if you wanted to, because it's their idea, you know, and they own it and they have the ownership. So for me, that's beautiful and so different from whatever it is that a normal, regular life coach nowadays does. You know, it's just that I get, you know, like people from ICF, they get to our trainings sometimes. I remember this one trainer for ICF. He came to not supervise my coaching training, but they were doing this whole evaluation, should we become members or whatnot. And he wanted to sit on a side and observe the whole training, but I had him actually in the training room instead as part of the group. And man, he came to me on day 2 of the 10 days training. He came on day 2 to the stage with, you know, somewhat like, you know, he made a face or whatever. I'm like, you know what now? Because, you know, for me, all that admin stuff, it just doesn't have anything for me. It doesn't inspire me, you know. So I'm like, what now? You know, and he comes, and he looks at me with this serious face, says, you call this life coaching? I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, I'm just not going to have this admin conversation. You know what I mean? But then very quickly he changes his mind, you know, as in like he just starts laughing because he was leg. He's like, dude, you call this life coaching? This is life years ahead of what we do as life coaching, you know? And for me, feedback like that and feedback from people who've done different trainings all over the world, combined with all the stuff I've been exposed to, because I'm still a student, I'm still going to different trainings myself. It really painted me this global picture of what life coaching stands for today. So I really love to see that you own that. And I think your wording just now was, dude, I don't call myself I'm not a life coach. We're so much more than that, you know, but that came from within you with full ownership. That's just beautiful for me to witness. Thank you for that little piece. I don't know if you were aware of it, so I'm highlighting it.
No, I'm just expressing myself.
So Sam, I guess given the timing, I would want to wrap this up. Do you have any other special message for anyone out there embarking this career? Because on some level, I didn't want to make those interviews like about me or about RSCI is the only thing and the right thing to, you know, like I didn't want to do that. I'm really hoping that some of those interviews will inspire other people just to embark on this path. I almost don't care where you're going to study. I'm like, I mean, it's kind of important for you, I guess. Well, like, do your homework, see what resonates with you. But the idea is, so many people want to embark on this. They tell me, I'm already a coach. People come to me all the time. You know, I'm coaching all the time. I just don't know what the hell I'm doing. And they don't have the skills. They don't know how to create change for clients. They don't know how to go about those things. So they're looking for tools, like you said. And yet they haven't been the clients themselves, not with us at least. So they have their own insecure thinking. They have their own fears. And what if I leave this job and start this? How will I manage? You know, all those other, should I say, insecurities kick in. And it keeps them back sometimes, and it holds them from making this decision. You left a rather successful big corporate job and everything that comes with it to start this career. So I guess who else should I ask? You know, like I've got many people like this, but I'm saying, you mentioned that just now. Any advice? And I don't mean like, hey, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to tell those people, we know it's not easy. We know it's a big decision. It can equally be a transition. It doesn't have to be a dry cut in any ways. But I'm hoping that, I don't know, what is your message to those guys who are considering to perhaps change their career if their motivation is, I'm dying here in this job, whether it's corporate or whatever, doesn't matter. And I love helping people. I'm inspired by, I'm looking for something more meaningful in my life to do. And they kind of came across this path. What's your message for those guys?
Well, my message is if they truly want to help people and they want to make a real impact in others' lives and change people's lives, and this is something that drives them, it's something that they're passionate about, and they want to find a place and a teacher that, you know, and I speak with experience because I was under you and I learned from you, Robert, one of the best people that can articulate and make things simple and give us the tools and the techniques and really want to make a change in people's lives. I say that they don't need to stay in the pain they're in anymore. They need to understand that in the unknown, and you don't know what you don't know, and the minute you step out into that, that's where you will find possibility and opportunity, and that's where you'll find true joy. You have to follow your heart and sometimes shut that analytical mind of yours and just follow that heart. If you're feeling down and you're frustrated and you're unhappy, you have to do something about it, because it won't change. And the only thing that I can give and advice from my heart to everyone that might be watching this is don't be afraid of the unknown. Step out and learn, and make sure you learn from the best out there. And I can confidently say that I'm not complimenting here, Robert, but I have to say this on this interview. You are one of the best teachers out there, and you are one of the best teachers not only as a teacher, but as a person that equips people with the right tools and techniques to make effective changes both in their life and other people's lives. So yeah, that's the best advice I can give, and that's the most transparent advice from my heart to everyone out there.
Thanks, and thank you obviously for all the kind words. I have so much to add, but I'm thinking time's probably up. So let's wrap it up then. Sam, tell me, I'm obviously rather inspired by your message. I'm inspired by your being, if that makes sense, in terms of the man that's in front of me, if you know what I mean. I could imagine easily some other viewers not interested in becoming coaches, but looking for, hey, what do you mean change is easy? What do you mean I can change my confidence? What do you mean I can progress so quickly? Or like, what do you mean by those things? If they would be keen on finding you or perhaps being coached by you, how do they go about it? Where do they reach out?
Well, just reach out to my surname, my name and surname. It's www.samdaghash, SAMDAGHASH.com. They can find me there, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with anyone that wants to know more, either about what I do or about my experience with you. So yeah, thanks again, Robert.
Okay, awesome, Sam. Again, given the time, let me salute you for the man that you are today.
Thank you.
You're making my world an even better place to be in, and I look forward I'm going to reach out again. I'm in Dubai a month from now, so I'll reach out and let's go and have a cup of coffee or whatever.
Awesome, looking forward to seeing you. Thanks again for having me, Robert, and thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much.